this video, we're talking about my recent CGC submission where I got absolutely rinsed on these 5 books. Well, 4 of the 5 books that I cracked, pressed, and resubmitted came back either the same grade or lower for a significant net loss. And the whole point of this video is just a word of caution. For those that like to play this dangerous game of crossing things over, regrading, pressing, and things like that, that there is risk involved. And my advice would be play the tape through to the different worst case scenarios and ask yourself, would you be able to live with that worst case scenario? Is it worth the potential upside to take the risk in the first place? And each one of these books has an interesting point of conversation around it. They're all a little bit different. So stick around. There's some valuable information here in this video. But before we do, I am running a 15% off sale this weekend at brycecomics.com. Use code Halloween15 for 15% off all the recently added books except for the big boy books. My margins are way too thin to do 15% off or sometimes anything off of the listed price, but check out these super high grade Spideys, 9/8 white page 12 centers. You don't see that every day. We also have a whole bunch of Adam Hughes Wonder Woman, so if you're interested in putting together that run, you can get a great deal on those books right here. And there's tons and tons of other key issues, minor keys, major keys, and everything in between. Use code Halloween15 this weekend only, the week that this video drops. While you're there, sign up for the newsletter. This is your last chance to get in on the giveaway. We're giving away some valuable slabs at brycecomics.com just for being subscribed to the newsletter over there. And we also have this valuable giveaway here on the YouTube channel. Last chance to get in on the giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe, comment, and like, and you're entered to win October's giveaway. So the first book that we have here is Nintendo Comic Systems No Number. And shout out to my buddy Ron at palmbeachpresser.com. He did all the work on these books. He did a phenomenal job. I'll put up on the screen when I have pictures of the work, but every single one of these books that he touched, he improved significantly. And this is the first word of caution, is sometimes you can improve a book significantly and have it come back the same grade or even lower. But this one stings a little bit because I thought this one definitely had a shot at a 9.8. I have had success bumping a 9.6 to a 9.8 before of this book. And it's just such a cool book to get in 9.8 because they're so exceedingly rare. And the only thing that this book has is this one spine stress on the spine. And I think it would be worth resubmitting this book. I'm not going to do it. I took my jab at it. I mean, it's got a couple of tiny little dings on the spine. And I think it would be worth resubmitting because if you get a generous grader that day, it's like a teeter-totter, you know, it's a really, 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 really nice 9.6 or, you know, a borderline 9.8. So this one might be worth resubmitting. Give it a press just in case, but there's really not too much that can be done about the spine stress. It's just, you're just looking for a more generous grader on that one. This next one here is Mad Number 1, and it came back a 7.0. This one also stings. So this one is an example of improving the heck out of a book and having it come back a lower grade. And I'm going to have to resubmit this one because I just don't agree with the new 7.0. So in this, the thing is that this isn't a difference in standards because this was graded, it was originally graded this year in 2025, but it was not pressed or cleaned and it had a ton of improvable defects. This is what it was like before, and I'll put up on the screen the defects that were approved. It was a 7.5, and then it came back here a 7.0. And so in the original notes, it had all of these things: bend, left center back cover, soiling back cover, spine stress lines, very small tear, top of back cover, crease, right bottom of front cover. And most of these things were improved. Obviously, you can't do anything about a color breaking defect like a tear, but I'll put up on the screen all the improvements, and you'll see it was drastically improved. And now the new notes, the only note is medium stain, right center of cover. And I don't see it. It looks exactly the same. Obviously, there was no restorative processes done to the book, which just wasn't necessary. I mean, why would we add any kind of water or anything or to stain the book. There's nothing there. It was just dry cleaning. And so I'm going to resubmit this one. I think it deserves like an 8.0, 8.5, especially with all of those defects improved. And this is just an example of sometimes, you got to resubmit a book and get a different opinion. It's just one person on one day that grades it. That's how grading works. There's none of this two people looked at it anymore. No, it's one person grading books. And so anyways, this one is to be continued. Captain America Comics number 33. Now, this was a CBCS 2.0, and it came back a CGC 1.8, and this one has significant issues. I mean, it's from 1943, a Captain number 33, Alex Schomburg cover. It actually might be worth about the same in a CGC 1.8 versus a CBCS 2.0. But it's got some significant structural issues that have been fixed with tape, and tape is not considered restoration. We did have a little scare with this book, and I'm curious for the Golden Age collectors out there, if you have any more information on this. There was like a hanging Chad on the inside of the book. Now, we counted the pages, and there was a correct number of pages for this book, which was 60, so it wasn't missing any pages. And where that thing I'll put up on the screen was in the book, it looked like a page was cut out. But it might have just been like an extra page in manufacturing, or like a piece of a page that got stuck inside the book. But it seems like possibly something that, and the story numbers are correct on one side to the other. And so I'm just curious, does anybody know what's going on with this? Because it's got the blue label. It was a blue label CBCS, and I thought, oh, great. CBCS missed it, and it's going to come back qualified, but it didn't. So it's obviously, it has all of the pages because we counted them, and I'm just curious if anyone knows what that little hanging Chad thing is. I'll save the best for last, but we have next X-Men number 98, and some of you may remember this was a CBCS 9.8, and I crossed it over CGC because I just could not sell it in the CBCS holder. This is one that has 2 autographs, Chris Claremont and Dave Cochran, but it's on page 1. And so the big lesson with this book is I should have just not bought it. I should have just not bought it in a CBCS holder. I'm still learning in this hobby. Like, if I were to see this same book in a CBCS 9.8 with autographs on the first page, I would now say, you know what, that's going to be a tough sell for me. I can't do anywhere close to 80%. And plus, there's no comps for CBCS, so you have to go. So, lesson learned there is I'm getting better and better at noticing which books are going to be super tough sales and just not taking them on. But every now and then I go, why did I buy that and pay that much for it? But it came back in 9.6, and it says spine stress, and they're there. They are there. I probably wouldn't have done it if I had taken a closer look at. I should have taken a really close look at it. But it was, it was a borderline. This is another one of those that's a really, really, really nice 9.6. And it would be kind of I wouldn't even say a gift grade in a 9.8. It would just be kind of like a lower end 9.8. But, I can show you examples of books now that 9.8s that have worse spine stress than this. And I can show you 9.8s that have better spines than this. So it's one of those teeter-totters. It came back in 9.6, and this one is going to be the most significant hit on value. And the other lesson is what I should have done is just sold it as a CBCS 9.8 and just massively discounted it. I should have played this tape through and said, okay, if it came back a CGC 9.6, what would be the value of that? And then I could have just sold it at that price and saved myself the grading fees and authentication fees, But, lesson learned. If it did come back a 9.8, it would have been probably a much easier sell, but it didn't. So lesson learned on that one. Here, and we'll end it on a positive note here with Avengers number 1. This one was an interesting one. This was in a 4.5 blue label, and it said name written on cover in pen, because it's signed by Stan Lee. And there was massive improvable defects on the 4.5. There was so much that could be improved with this book, and I'll put pictures on the screen of the amazing work that Ron did at Palm Beach Presser on this book. I mean, just massively improved the eye appeal, massively improved a bunch of defects on this book, and it did get a 0.5 bump. So this would have been a much different video if it came back the same grade. I was afraid that it would come back the same grade because, as Ron stated when he got it, he goes, dude, this thing was overgraded. It was not a 4.5 to begin with. It was more like, a 4.0 or even a 3.5 to begin with, but it was overgraded because CGC's grading standards have changed over time. And in general, there was a period in the beginning, they were more strict, and then there was a period where they were too loose, and then they tightened up again, in general, okay, without diving too far into it. And this was graded in that middle time when they were a little bit more generous. So it was overgraded to begin with, and there was a real chance that this book would have came back the same grade, which would have been, the video would have been proof that CGC's standards have changed, because you look at all of the improvements in that book, and that those were so significant that it wasn't just like the subjective nature from day to day. That's like standards have changed because they're so massively different. But it did get a 0.5 bump, which was, I think, after fees and everything, about a $400 increase in value. So it was worth it, but it had to be done no matter what, just to get the signature authenticated. And man, does it look so nice with that black and gold label signed by Stan Lee. Such an iconic piece of comic book history. Hopefully this will be available when this video drops. If not, it'll come on Monday. And so that's it, guys. Just a word of caution with grading. There's tons of nuance. Sometimes you get massive wins. Sometimes it's a wash. Sometimes you take a loss. And I do have one in the works that if I get the bump, it will, cover a lot of losses and put me way in the green on the CPR game. It's definitely worth looking at. One of the best ways you can invest in comics is to buy undergraded comics, buy books that have improvable defects, and get that grade bump, get instant equity in your collection, in your investment. It's worth doing, but there is a lot of risk. And as you go along, you get better and better at it. But I definitely recommend Ron from Palm Beach Pressing. He does fantastic work. He has really competitive prices, and he has incredibly quick turnaround times as far as industry standards go. Don't forget, we have that discount this weekend, Halloween 15. Happy Halloween to you. I hope you're staying safe and having fun out there. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.